Welcome to this module of Create Sell Bank. It's on intellectual property. We're honored to have Matthew Davis here, who's the Senior Intellectual Property Coordinator of STC.UNM. He's going to give us an intellectual property or an IP presentation. I'm going to ask him some questions. You're going to have his contact information to ask your own questions. We're going to do a demonstration of the USPTO.GOV site, which stands for United States Patent and Trademark Office site. So I am going to turn it over to Matthew.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Matthew, and I'm the Senior Intellectual Property Coordinator at STC. And so basically what I do is I help the innovation team do all the patent prosecution work. So I help turn basically scientific inventions into patents that are then licensed to companies. So one thing is I'm not a patent lawyer, and everything in this presentation isn't really legal advice, just information. If you do have legal questions, we can get you in contact with a patent lawyer to help you solve those. So, all right, so basically, technology transfer is what we do here at STC. Like I said, we transfer scientific discoveries and technologies from the inventors or the faculty staff here at UNM, put a patent on it, and then gives it to, and then we license it to industry, either small startups or larger companies, and things get there's different things for each one of those. So, like we do, we protect it, we bring it to the marketplace. We also connect the business community, the larger UNM and New Mexico state economy together. And we help facilitate the state's economic development by using these technologies. So basically, we work with every kind of department here at UNM, School of Medicine, engineering is one of our big ones, College of Pharmacy is another large one, but we'll basically take any invention from any department. We've got some from our architecture department, but mainly it's scientific work. So here's some of our metrics. These are the amount of inventions that we get in. Invention disclosures are basically people walking up and saying, I've got an invention. These are faculty, staff, and students. And you can see that since 1996, we've pretty much been on an upward climb on the number of disclosures we get. The red is issued patents. So that's how many ones that we take all the way through the process. It's a 3 to 5 year process to get a patent. So not all of the inventions that we get make it through the process, but we've been getting better at doing that. And then the green is option and license agreements. We've been increasing our ability to take those issued patents and then license them to companies as well. So all very positive metrics. This is our income. Like you can see, it is steadily rising. For fiscal year 2010, there was we actually got a lot of money from assertion, which basically meant that we went after some Taiwanese companies that were infringing on our patents and forced them to take a license and then pay us for infringing on our patents. So we definitely do defend our patents from infringers. So. This are the number of startup companies that we've helped found off of our technologies, and you can see that, again, more positive developments here. For 2018, we started 11 New Mexico-based companies, so definitely a good sign there. We're located at the Lobo Rainforest Building, Central and Broadway, in the middle of Albuquerque, New Mexico here, so. Not on main campus, but you can get to us pretty easily. There is a shuttle. So let's talk about disclosures and IP. So we actively encourage everyone, faculty, staff, and students, to come and disclose new inventions. We'll always give you some time to do that. We received about 107 disclosures from last year. Right now, we're currently up to 103. You can do it through our stc.unm.edu website. And then we do evaluate each invention for patentability. So we'll do a preliminary novelty search, or basically search to see if anyone's done it before. As you can see, this is our website. In the upper right-hand corner is the Inventor Login. It will take you to this screen. If you're a UNM student, your username and password is exactly the same. This is main campus, not Salud or any other one, but so use your main UNM email to log in as an inventor if you've got invention. So what happens, what we ideally want to see is this top ideal scenario, is where the invention disclosure is where you disclose it to us. What we'll do is we will file a provisional application, and then you go out and do a public disclosure, which is basically you can try to sell it, or we'll try to market it, and in that case, everything's great. What happens is if you have an invention and you get excited and then you start trying to sell it before coming to talk to us, the bottom scenario there is that we can still file a provisional application, but we'll lose international rights. So we'll only be able to get rights for the United States. Now, most of that time that's fine, but if you have a pharmaceutical drug or something like that, that's not okay, because the European Union is a pretty big market, and you will lose rights immediately if you try to sell your invention before disclosing it to us. So we really encourage you to disclose. We do not try to delay you from talking about it in like a presentation or a paper. There we go. So basically, when we're talking about intellectual property, mainly UNM STC does what are called patents. There's basically 4 different kinds of intellectual property. There's patents, trademarks, copyrights, and trade secrets. Patents are basically a 20-year monopoly on a technological invention. Trademarks refer to where a service or product comes from. Copyrights are anything that you write down. And then trade secrets are kind of, if you work in an industry and your company has a specific way of doing things, that's a trade secret. We do not deal with trade secrets because we have to sell things to the public. Copyrights are created almost instantly, so we don't deal with those too much. We'll deal with trademarks occasionally, but mainly we're interested in patents. So patents are, like I said, a limited monopoly, 20 years from the date of when you first file it. This keeps people from making it or selling it or importing it into your jurisdiction, normally United States. What we do first is we'll file a provisional patent. It's basically a 1-year temporary patent that is not really looked at. What we do is we search for market potential. We try to look at patentability if we can, and enforceability. Basically, if we have to, can we protect it? Like I said, it takes about 3 years for a patent to issue, maybe even more. It's just it's kind of a long process, but you'll see why it is in just a little bit. In our last fiscal year, we received 51 issued patents. Basically, that ranked us as in the 30s of National Academy of Inventors and the Intellectual Property Owners Association number of worldwide universities with the largest number of issued patents. So we got quite a bit. And we're ranked up there with like Harvard, MIT, and a couple other large IP-related universities. This is just, the 4 types of intellectual property. over that one. Patents also get split into three different kinds of things: utility patents, design patents, and plant patents. Utility patents are what we deal with mostly. They're new useful processes, any type of machine or method of manufacture, or if you have a composition of matter, a pharmaceutical drug. Design patents are basically how does something look. It's a new design. We have one design patent. It's for a chair that can be flattened in a box and then taken out and be built. So that's our only design patent. We do not have any plant patents, but they're basically if you work on plants and then you create an entirely new plant, you can get a patent on that. But it has to be entirely new. You have to have a hand in inventing it because of rules about patentability, which we're going to get into now. So like I say, it takes a while for you to get a patent because you first have to decide where you want to file, where you want to file just in the United States or if you want to file worldwide. Each one of those has costs to it in terms of attorney time and if you actually want to get a patent in Tanzania, for example. Most people don't. But one of the things that after you've decided the countries that you have to file in, those countries' patent and trademark offices will normally look at your patent application and see if it's legally defined as patentable. You can't patent anything that's an algorithm or found in nature. So you can't just like pick up a new bug that nobody's ever seen before and patent it. Because that's just found in nature. But if you did something to that, then it would be new. And one of the things so once you get past that, you have to look at has anyone ever done this before? Basically, if somebody's invented something before or alluded to it, you can't patent it because you're not the one who first found it or created it. So this is called novelty. It's one of the rejections that we get. Basically, the examination process is a series of letters between the patent office and us, basically saying we can't do. The patent office won't give us a patent because it's not new, it's not novel. One of the other rejections is obviousness. This one's a little bit harder to explain. It's basically you have to have some kind of unintuitive, kind of inventive step in your invention. You can't just simply combine two different things because they're, it's like a logical marriage. Like you can't do that. That's obvious, and that's not patentable. So if you're in the lab, you create something that's totally like not what you expected, that will get over an obviousness rejection. So once you get through those, then you'll have an issued patent. And then we get into commercialization of issued patents, basically taking those patents and then giving them or licensing them out to companies. What we do at STC is we're actually pretty active, and we do a lot of active marketing, advertising of our technologies. Not a lot of tech transfer offices do that. We'll post a non-confidential description, a non-confidential summary is what we call it, to our website to advertise it. We'll contact companies that may be interested in our technologies. If we have technologies that need a lot of work, we'll link up with entrepreneurs and people who angel funders or venture capitalists to basically start up a new company to pursue this technology. And we're constantly doing this, couple meetings every week. So, then we try to commercialize these all in New Mexico. So these are, what we would consider a marketing campaign. We'd find everything that's, in immunotherapy, all our technologies, and we'd bundle them together, and then we talk to companies that may be interested in new immunotherapy drugs or procedures or treatments, and then try to license large batches like that. So as you can see, that we do it all over the place here. So these are some of our active startup companies. These are all active. We actually have a pretty good rate. 64% of 129 companies that we've created out of UNM are actually still in business. I think that's a higher rate than normal. I think it's normally like 50% that survive. So our technologies are pretty good. I would hope. So, and one of the things that we do is we also do a lot of programs to support our startups. So we have a venture lab where you can actually have office space or have office-like utilities. Like if you need a conference room and you're part of our venture lab, you can come here and we can support you in that. Our iCourse site is basically a program for running new businesses and teaching them different things about startups. Our co-investment fund, if you need funding, partnership with angels, again, more angel funding. And then we do a whole bunch of presentations to highlight our entrepreneurs to get them out into the larger economic field there. And then we also have a memorandum of understanding with Osage Venture Partners. They basically will take a look at any new startup and see if it's worthy of being funded by venture capital. So we'll negotiate agreements with established or startup companies. And basically we tailor our agreements to either side of that. Basically, if it's a large company, we're going to make them pay a lot more for the technology compared to a startup. We try to be startup friendly, but at the same time, get you a fair deal if we have a large company. So we had 53 license and options agreements last year, and 11 new startups. So I think we're on track to hit those this year. As far as the money that you would get back if you're an inventor, basically everything's governed by the IP policy. It's E70 and faculty handbook. Students are a little bit different. They're not really subject to this, but we do the same kind of breakdown as you can see below. Is you'll get 40% of revenue after all the costs are paid. STC will get 40% for pushing through the patent prosecution and then marketing it, and then 20% will go to UNM. That goes to the UNM research, either HSC or main campus, for their research budgets. That doesn't go anywhere else except for creating new scientific stuff. So. And that's it. So, okay. Any questions?
Well, yeah. But so I'm the proxy for the questions. So, Matthew, with respect to the distribution of the assets, there's a process here where we're doing the idea of the. Somebody just walked in. Sorry about that. Anyways, the question is, STC provides a lot of service for that, and as opposed to students thinking that, well, I could have 100% if I just did this all by myself. Can you elaborate on that some?
Yeah. So here's the thing so it's totally legal for you to go through the patent process yourself. You can write your own patent and you can file it with USPTO and you can try to get it, and then you can move on to sending out to companies. There's a couple of problems with that. Is that you will, unless you're a patent attorney, you will lack the understanding of how to deal with the patent examiner. You'll lack the technical knowledge, and it's generally kind of expensive. You can pay a patent attorney to do it. Each patent costs about $20,000 dollars to get through. Sometimes maybe more, depends on what you invent and how crowded the IP sector that you're in. If you're doing cancer drugs, there's quite a number of different patents and patent treatments, and you'll spend a lot of time trying to get through office actions, trying to differentiate your program or your therapy from somebody else's. That all that time will, cost you money if you go through a patent attorney. So
thank you, Matthew. So another question is, in Create Sell Bank, one of the core elements is the students doing research. They're going online research, talking to customers and doing things. And in fact, the assignment is going to build on this and go to the USPTO.GOV. When you talk about the patent searches, can you elaborate on the professionalism and the professional expertise that you provide at SDC to do a patent search on an idea and an invention disclosure that a student might have?
Okay, so if you have an invention and you bring it to us, we will do a novelty search. Basically, what we have is that we hire interns that have scientific knowledge to read through the patent description and then go through certain sites. We search the USPTO. We have a certain database that we look at. I can't remember the name of it right now. And then we also search DuckDuckGo because it doesn't track your web searches. And we will try to find everything that's similar to your technology. And that is reviewed by our marketing manager, and then it's also reviewed by our innovation managers. And then we will actually, we will talk to you as the inventor and try to differentiate your technological idea from anything that we find.
Great, thank you. Now, one other question is, most of the students are setting up businesses. They're coming up with names, and oftentimes they've got logos. How can you help them with trademarks?
Okay, yeah, we will file a trademark for you. Trademarks are actually much simpler to do. Basically what you do is you want a word that is almost made up, because that really differentiates, it really helps to differentiate your product from everything else. USPTO really gets those through. You'll want to have a specific class of items that you're interested in. Each different class requires a new trademark. And let's see, what else about trademarks? So trademarks don't do any disclosure rules. Basically, if you have a trademark, start using it as soon as possible and getting it out. What happens is you can prove that you're using it in business and you're using it in commerce, because that's what the USPTO really likes, that you're actually using this thing. We can give them proof, pamphlets, the logo on your product or anything like that. If you have a website that shows exactly what your where the goods are coming from, that's also very good. So you really want to get your trademark out there and then file a trademark. It costs only $100 or a few $100s. We do it for you. We've got a great patent, a trademark patent attorney on our as we're one of their clients. So
sounds great. On behalf of the students and on behalf of me, thank you, Matthew, very, very much for coming in and giving this presentation.
Well, thank you for having me.
Now, to continue on what Matthew had talked about, we've talked many times and referred to the United States Patent and Trademark Office. Their hyperlink is USPTO.GOV. And this site is set up so that we've got anything on the patents, and relative to the patents, you can get like overview and drill down deeper into what Matthew talked about. What's the process, some patent FAQs. In the application process, you can actually search for patents. You can check if you've got something filed and things like that. And you can look at some of the office actions, and that's what's Matthew had referred to as communication back and forth. And then if you have any under the maintaining an issued patent. So again, you can search for patents, and you can search for applications of patents. This is kind of a relatively new rule. Now under trademarks, you can look at, again, the basics, the overview on the left. You can look at the application process. And under there, the big thing is to search the trademark and find out if somebody already has your trademark. And how do you keep it alive? How do you, what kind of forms and various things that you need? Now, the IP policy is something that you can read, and this is can get very technical, but nonetheless, it is here. I want to make sure you understand that you can go here and get that. And then under learning resources, this is an amazing resource for intellectual property. And you can find attorneys, you can get some resources for attorneys, agents, and paralegals, for inventors and entrepreneurs, so you can dig down in there, for kids and educators, and on over. And you can look at on a per topic basis, and you can also look at it on a services and publications basis. So just clicking on this kids and educators, you can see the 10 millionth patent was just issued, and they have gone up, and that's kind of cool. You can look at teens, kids, and I wanted to show you this video.
Hi there, welcome to Extraordinary Innovations. I'm Renee. If you're looking for action, then X marks the spot. The X Games, that is. Competitors are fearless and physical, but they need more than muscle to get extreme. Riders need the firepower of patented technology and trademark products. And while there are no Olympics for inventors, at least not yet, there would be no X Games without the extreme ideas that inventors and innovators spin out. Boards, bikes, buttons, parkas, pockets, skis, skates, wheels, Wheaties. No pedal to the metal without somebody first coming up with some extreme idea. Who knew? Recently, we went to the X Games and met some of the people that bring brains to the brawn.
Our motto was a dream for myself and a group of athletes. We decided to get together and start a company and have it represent the new face of skiing.
I started snowboarding and I loved it. I wanted to bring some street fashion onto the hill.
I wanted to take my ideas and potentially trademark them and put them into the marketplace where people can benefit from the ideas that I have.
Everybody has ideas, right? But how do they get from your head to the tread? One of the most innovative sports technologies has been around a long time. Check it. The bicycle was invented in 1839 by Kirkpatrick Macmillan in Scotland. I'm sure people thought it was a pretty radical idea, but there's no way Kirkpatrick had any clue what riders would be doing with bikes today.
The X Games has really pushed the industry to reevaluate everything it does, because every year the riders are doing new things that have never been done before.
They've definitely come up with events that have pushed the limits of riding.
Cyclists demand a machine to match their drive, their imagination, and their guts.
We always kind of wonder what's going to be the next big trick designed for the next rider's needs.
Without better wheels, even hard-driving cyclists go nowhere fast.
I think the riders have always been the ones that have wanted to push themselves as far as they could go and always be looking to try and push the sport to a new limit. You always want something bigger and something better.
The secret to spectacular stunts? Patented technologies.
One of the most notable inventions over the years has been what we call the rotor. It allows the brakes to spin 360 degrees without tangling the cables up, and it really transformed the tricks that could be done on a bicycle.
There's the truck driver, the 360 tail whip, the backflip, the 720 turn down.
This story is far from over. Cyclists in and out of the X Games are going to keep pushing for better bikes.
So I'm going to stop it right there. You can watch the rest of this. I think the most important part here is the fact that you can go onto USPTO.GOV / well, you can go over and go through the various things. This is the kids section. So in summary, we had Matthew Davis, the senior IP coordinator of STC.UNM, who gave a presentation on intellectual property. We did some Q&A with Matt. Now, if you have additional questions, you can contact Matthew by email at mdavis@stc.unm.edu. We did a demonstration of the USPTO.GOV site, and Assignment 8 will be related directly to this module. So that's been the intellectual property module. Thank you.